Hello and welcome to episode 168 of the Heart of Markness podcast, Led Zeppelin podcast, that is. We have today 1980 Frankfurt, regarded as one of the best shows of the tour, and they're right. And I was trying to find something to feature because I had nothing up to last night. I had nothing for you. Nothing sounded good. Nothing looked good. Nothing interested me. I was like, ugh. So, I was looking through 1980 because it's early June, or mid-June now, and that's when they started their 1980 tour. So, I went looking through the shows, and then I saw Frankfurt, and I was like, oh yeah, but that soundboard, it just doesn't do it for me. Everybody had thought that Achilles' Last Stand is kind of, there's a sentiment that is the best Achilles' Last Stand, and it's awesome, but it never really grabbed me. I'm not a big fan of those dry 1980s soundboards. They do nothing to help the band. So I downloaded 3 of the 4 known audience recordings. And none of them sound great. One of them sounded okay, but it was just a little too far. It would have been okay if it was the only recording for a show. I've done shows with sound of that caliber, but unfortunately it did give that wonderful atmosphere, audience atmosphere, and sound and vitality, which was great. It really, really brought the show to life. But it was just a little too far. A little too distant, a little too far away. And that was the best one of the sources. The others were just distant and not great, and I don't know. But I discovered somebody had recommended as definitive the Liriodendron remaster of the soundboard. So I grabbed it and listened to it last night. I did a lot of Frankfurt listening last night. And it's good. He did a good job. He did a great job. I mean, the reviews I had read of it were that he brought life to it and just really, really was able to bring out the atmosphere and not just that dry 1980 sound that we're all so familiar with. And he did. He did a great job with it. He really brought life to it and just sanded the rough edges, and the audience comes through on the crowd mics because it's a rockin' show. And just not having that brittle, thin tone of Jimmy's so much, and my goodness, it's a wonderful job. It's still the soundboard, but it's a wonderful job. And one thing I realized is one of the reasons why the Frankfurt board tapes hadn't really grabbed me in the last 30 plus years, Jesus, literally Jesus, I think it came out 33 years ago, is that it ran slow. One of the things Liriodendron did is increase the speed by 2.1%, which made all the difference in the world to me. Instead of sounding like a tired out, worn out band playing by the numbers, they've got some pep, they've got some groove, they've got some stride. Bonzo sounds on top of it and not just worn out after his collapse at Nuremberg. They sound good. They sound like Led Zeppelin again, which made everything great. I was able to sit down and with the help of some deliciously legal cannabis, just like I did in high school, like you did in high school, put the headphones on, close my eyes, and just listen to the music. And it was awesome. So, take that as a ringing endorsement. Now, could I have done that with 300 other Zeppelin shows rather? Yeah, probably, because they're Zeppelin. But I did it with this one, and it's and it's from June 1980, 2 weeks and 42 years to the day. So let's jump on in, shall we? I was pleasantly surprised. I'm glad I found something, and then I'm glad I found happiness, because I was telling my my housemate yesterday that I felt nothing. This week I don't feel, I'm just, I don't know, probably tired. You know, we all have that where you're just down. Mild depression. Nothing really brings joy and you're like, eh. That's how I was, just eh. And then thanks to vitamin Z, brought some aesthetic pleasure back to my life, which brought some just happiness and joy. And I'm like, oh yeah, fuck this. Everything's great. So, everything's great. Led Zeppelin, folks, Frankfurt, Germany. One interesting thing is the vibe of this. I gave some thought to the 1980 tour as well. Because as we've discovered together, it's not the train wreck that it kind of canonically has been presented to be. I mean, all the criticisms are fair. Jimmy is in horrible condition. He's in rough shape. Bonzo's in rough shape. He fell off the drum stool in Nuremberg and they had to stop the concert. But there was joy, there was happiness, there was passion, there was grace, there was fire. And we've heard, mostly towards the beginning of the tour, good old-fashioned ass-kicking Zeppelin, and the audience tapes really helped bring that out. And this tour was a chance for a rebirth. They were trying, they were going for it. And had they made it to America, yeah, there probably would have been a couple of really great shows. Magical? I don't know. I think the bar has to be lowered to a point, but that doesn't mean there aren't going to be great shows. Probably more magical moments or magical songs could have happened. The vibe would have been different because every European tour Zeppelin does before they come to America is a little more subdued and a little more laid back because the audiences are. And the venues are smaller. These are smaller venues to warm up. So, and unfortunately, being out of the limelight for a couple of crucial years in the 70s, actually just going radio silent from, mid-1977 to late summer 1979, hurt them in as much as their fan base at that time, from the mid-70s onward, music was segmenting more. Heavy metal defined itself as a genre. And, originally it was more the, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, heavy metal, Saxon, that kind of stuff. But it segmented to the point where you became, that's what you were into. So you weren't going to listen to more Crosby, Stills, and Nash and stuff like that. The Renaissance time where people could listen to all kinds of shit that happened in the free FM radio days of the 70s, thanks to big business and market segments and blah, blah, blah. Everything that's led us to today, where every song has 37 songwriter credits, and there are guys that just do beats, and there are guys that just do bridges, and then there are guys that just do features, and just it's been commodity fetishism. It's become a business to the point where there's very little art at times on the grand scale. I mean, there's always going to be real music played by real people, but this whole fucking awful, sterile, what the fuck landscape where people appear on the stage and are considered and treated like legends and superstars with their first release, like upon release, they're a star. I don't know. Well, now I'm just bitching. Old man territory. I'm going to shut up now because I just wasted a few of your minutes just basically bitching and saying, in parentheses, that I don't like today's music because I'm their target demographic. They're trying to make music to please middle-aged white men. But back to Led Zeppelin. Here we go. Led Zeppelin's awesome. This show is really, really great. I am glad that I discovered this. Although the audience tape was the Source 4, I think it was good enough for me to really enjoy. It wasn't good enough for me to choose. This wonderfully remastered soundboard just brings the show to life.
So why don't you play something, asshole?
Why don't I play something? And we're going to do a song that that I have not been fond of live much, but now I kind of am. This is good. Jimmy plays some cool shit. I do prefer there's more oomph in the audience version, even though it's not a great recording, but this soundboard, man, Jimmy plays some really interesting, cool shit. This is fun. The band is having fun. The band is on fire. They just can't burn as brightly as they did back in their heyday. But it's still really good. In the Evening, June 30th, 1980, Frankfurt, West Germany at that time, back in the day. Here we go.
Thank you very much.
That had some spunk. I like the... That was some cool stuff. I like the solos. I like the wah-wah work. And Liriodendron definitely brought some life to the tone. And it definitely, that 2%, 2.1% uptick in speed brought it to life. It didn't sound like a band on its last legs. Love it. I hope you do too. And now we are going to hear another song. Oh, let me read you the track list from this. Because this will be available for download on heartofmarkness.com. Like if you go there right now and you're listening to this, you'll see it there. If this is an older episode and it's not June 16th or 2022, scroll through, use the search function. You've got a brain and thumbs. You got this. The track list is as follows. Track 1 is just crowd noise. Typical 1980. Train Kept A-Rollin', Nobody's Fault But Mine, Black Dog, In the Evening, Rain Song, Hot Dog, All My Love, Trampled Underfoot, Since I've Been Loving You, Achilles' Last Stand, White Summer Black Mountainside, Kashmir, Stairway to Heaven, Rock and Roll, Money, The Best Things in Life Are Free, and Whole Lot of Love. Cool beans, man. I might do a part 2 if you guys like this. This is a really awesome show. Okay, so now let's jump into, like I said, you can go to heartofmarkness.com and download that. Let's jump into song number 2, and that will be what has been listed and definitely has been argued by a large portion of the Zeppelin community over the years. The best, definitely one of the best, Achilles' Last Stand. And when I listened to this last night, high as a kite, it rhymes. It sounded almost Spanish in a way. I mean, there are Spanish little filigrees here and there that Jimmy does that we all recognize. But the drumming, not just the Achilles' Last Stand badass drumming, and the martial tempo, and I mean, the pulse of the song is a galloping horse. I think we can all agree on that, right? Galloping horse is going to war. So think of riding horses when you're listening to that, and you'll get it. And then that's the scrimmage. That's where they're fighting. But listen to Bonzo, the drum and snare pattern. There's some really distinct patterns that he's playing, and it is not fast. It is very powerful, and it really clicks in with Jonesy, who's playing up a storm. So this is one of the best performances of Achilles, absolutely. Absolutely. And Jimmy's work with the delay is top-notch. They had their shit together, and when I play the next song for you, you'll know why. But, yeah, enjoy it. It is brilliantly good. And it's not crazy like the 77 versions. It's more restrained like the Nebworth, 79 and other 80 versions. Not restrained, but mature, I guess. But holy shit, listen to Bonzo, the bass and the drum. I mean, the bass and the snare. You're gonna, man, I don't know. Enjoy.
Thank you very much, Tom.
Well, that was badass, wasn't it? All of them were. All of them were badass. Robert is in really strong voice throughout the 80 tour. He's putting it out there. Although sometimes I think I get the feeling that he's he's looking for the exit, which I think is pretty well established. If the United States tour had gone forward, unless everybody really, really got their shit together, and there wasn't really a strong support structure for recovery at that point. It was just starting to come together. The chances of that were slim. But my gosh, was that good. What a band. Did you hear what I was talking about with Bonzo's bass and snare at all? I can't remember I can't even now, after hearing it just now, I can't remember the part where it stuck out for me. But Jimmy's work with the effects, brilliant. I don't like the vocal harmonizer, but whatever. None of us do. All right. Hey, you can find me on YouTube and Twitter and Facebook under the name Heart of Markness. You can also find me at heartofmarkness.com, the website that I referred to earlier. That's where you can find not only the podcasts, but links to the complete shows, complete concerts that I cover. So you can go to heartofmarkness.com and get the entire Liriodendron Remaster of Frankfurt 1980, the entire show. All the songs I read to you for free, and almost all of the shows that I've done, including the classic rock ones that I sometimes do on the weekend. So there's a lot there. Good stuff. And if there isn't a show there for an episode I do, it's because I was either asked not to share it, or there's a legal reason, or I just couldn't somehow. So that's that. If you like what I do, and you like how I do it, and you want to perhaps materially contribute to the welfare and growth of this wonderful podcast, you are invited to take a look at patreon.com/heartofmarkness and see if maybe becoming a patron of this fine show is something you're interested in. You can also hit the Patreon button at heartofmarkness.com if you'd like. See if there's something there for you. Boy, let me see what else we got. Oh yeah, mark at heartofmarkness.com if you want to contact me in one of the early mentioned ways. Early. Sorry guys. Like I said, I'm tired. Low energy week. And for absolutely no reason. So apologies. All right. We have one more that I'm going to play for you. And guys, if you want me to do a part 2 for this show, please let me know. I will happily do it. There are more songs that I could play. What I'm going to play now is the song Money. The best things in life are free. Robert's voice is insane on this song. They play it because what they're doing is they have a friend of the band named Phil Carson, who is an Atlantic Records A&R man. And he's been a friend of the band for, I think at least 10 years at this point. Or maybe, early 70s through now at least. And came out to see the band. And he was also a bass player. I think he might have played bass for Dusty Springfield. I can't remember. I don't know why that popped up. But in any case, he was a friend of the band and one of the few people that the band actually let come up on stage and jam with them. So he got up on stage, and he's playing bass, Jonesy's playing keyboards, and they're doing this song, Money, as a tongue-in-cheek joke to the music business and their money-hungry ways. Basically shitting on Phil Carson a little bit, while lauding him up. The only people who have done that have been, Simon Kirke, twice, right? Keith Moon, and Phil Carson. That's all I can think of. Can anybody else think of anybody else? Oh, Ronnie Wood. Ronnie Wood got up 1975. So yeah, that's rarefied air. So enjoy, friends. Money, a fun song. Robert is the standout on this.
Money!
there we have it. I would have been completely happy to see this. This is a great show. Makes me very happy to see. Or hear, rather. Not to see, can you imagine? Oh, man. I like this. If you guys want a part 2, I'm kind of feeling a part 2, but I'm not going to push it on you. So let me know one way or the other. I will tally the votes and see what happens. Man. Oh, you know what I haven't done? I didn't read the list of the beautiful and wonderful titans upon whose shoulders rests this mighty yet humble podcast. So a Laurel and hearty handshake go out to Matt, Stephen, George, Big Ed, Kenny, John from West Footscray, Picard, Kneggern, Chris, Rob from Melbourne, Australia. How's it going, Rob? Wayne, Brad. I always want to say all of Wayne's name. That's why it's like Wayne, because I started going into his last name and I stopped. I don't know why I do that, Wayne. You must be magical. Brad, Danielle, Tracy, David, Bonzo, Billy, and Mimo. Thank you, thank you, thank you, my friends. It means the world to me that you support me. It keeps me going. It holds me accountable so that when there are times when I don't feel like doing the podcast, like this week when I'm like, fuck it. I'm like, no, I have a job to do and I'm beholden to them. You keep me honest and I thank you for that. And you pay for all the hosting and everything and you allow me to do this. Bless your hearts, each and every one of you. And you too, dear listener. I hope you like this. If there's a question I can answer for you, contact me. If there's something you want to hear, contact me. And, let me know if you want a part 2 for this show. There's stuff we can do. Stairway's good. Stairway's real good for this. We can do a whole lot of love. That's always interesting. Rock and roll. Well, any of the other songs I haven't done. All right, let me know. And please be good to yourselves and each other. And I thank you very, very much.